The U.S. Israel alliance has long been a cornerstone of American foreign policy in the Middle East, rooted in shared democratic values and significant military collaboration. The Iron Dome defense system, for example, is often hailed as a testament.
Yeah, the Iron Dome. Great system. Saves lives, sure, but it costs billions. You think average Americans are looking at their taxes and saying, glad that's going to Israel's defense? I mean, come on. They're feeling the squeeze here at home.
Indeed, Duke, it does raise questions about the balance of priorities. However, strategically speaking, supporting Israel ensures America's influence in a volatile region. A strong ally like Israel is invaluable when you consider the geopolitical stakes and security risks.
But let's not sugarcoat it. Supporting Israel while civilians in Gaza are dying and medics are targeted? That's a hard pill to swallow. We got reports not long ago of 15 medics shot at while they were clearly unarmed. That kind of news spreads like wildfire and fuels outrage, you know?
Yes, the attack on the medics, truly tragic. It violated the Geneva Conventions governing warfare. And of course, there are growing calls for international accountability. But Duke, diplomacy also means taking in the wider picture. These events add complexities to an already intricate relationship.
Okay, but let's talk about those protests. They aren't just upset about complexities, Hans. You said it yourself. This isn't just college kids waving signs anymore. We're talking New York, Washington, L.A. Hell, even across Europe, these crowds are massive. People are calling U.S. policy complicit. Can't ignore that.
True. The sheer scale of these protests reflects a major shift in public sentiment, particularly among the younger generation. Movements on university campuses, for example, are shaping a discourse that challenges decades of established policies. And you must admit, Duke, it's fascinating to observe this ideological pivot.
Fascinating? Sure. If you're not getting shouted at in the middle of it. Let me tell you, Hans, back home in Oklahoma, protests like this don't exactly go over well. Public opinion there still leans hard on support our allies, and they're not too keen on hearing otherwise.
And yet, these debates are woven into the fabric of democracy itself. As we examine the protests and their global impact, we're reminded of the delicate balance between strategic interests and the moral questions raised by those same strategies. It's a tightrope walk, Duke.
Call it what you want. It's a damn mess is what it is. And the international spotlight on these protests, it's only making that rope thinner. But hey, I gotta hand it to them. These protesters, they aren't backing down, are they?
Absolutely, Duke. And that unyielding resolve stems from deeply personal connections to the issues at hand. The Gaza conflict, for instance, isn't just a geopolitical debate for many of these demonstrators. They're moved by images, videos, and first-hand stories that bring the harsh realities on the ground into stark focus, fueling their passion and commitment.
Yeah, and those stories stick, Hans. You've got people chanting slogans, not just from anger, but because those stories, those videos, they hit hard. I saw that brutality firsthand during deployments. And let me tell you, when humanitarian rules are broken, it's not just wrong. It undermines every damn principle we're supposed to stand for.
The video evidence, particularly the attack on unarmed medics, certainly shook public confidence. Footage like that undermines official narratives and intensifies calls for an independent investigation. It taps into people's sense of justice and amplifies these protests to an unprecedented level.
And that's the key point. Remember, civilians don't think about official narratives, Hans. They see dead medics, 15 of them, and it's game over for trust. Back when I served, we were drilled to follow the rules of engagement for a reason, to protect civilians and, yeah, to protect the mission. When you stray from that, the ripple effect is outrage and chaos.
An excellent observation, Duke. Those ripples fuel grassroots movements. What drives them, in part, are chants and slogans that embody wider humanitarian demands. They resonate not only locally, but globally, creating a unified voice challenging the status quo.
Exactly. And it's not just the activists anymore. Working-class people, veterans, even moms with kids are out there marching. They're fed up with the headlines. And when protests like this get big enough, you can bet the folks in D.C. start sweating.
There's another dimension to consider, though. These personal narratives add weight, yes, but they also expose gaps in the moral framework allegedly guiding foreign policy. Questions about accountability, and even complicity, emerge starkly. It's no wonder this issue is so polarizing.
Polarizing doesn't even cut it. People feel betrayed, Hans. Same way I felt when we'd see calculated decisions in combat zones that sidelined what we stood for. You know, like putting strategies over basic human decency. That'll light a fire under just about anyone, and trust me, it keeps going.
And of course, Duke, people do not forget easily. These videos, these protests, they're archiving emotions and events in real time, essentially becoming historical records. And the irony is clear. The louder the protests, the more evident the failures in strategy become.
Damn right. And every chant, every sign, they're not just noise, they're pressure. Protesters are saying loud and clear, do better or step aside. Simple as that.
Duke, it's unmistakably clear. These protests aren't just a fleeting outcry, they're a reckoning. People on the streets are delivering a powerful ultimatum. And now, officials are reportedly contemplating responses like increasing transparency in military aid or fortifying diplomatic approaches. But can these measures quell the outrage? Or are they just scratching the surface of a much deeper issue?
Transparency and diplomatic efforts? Hans, you know what that sounds like? Political maneuvering, plain and simple, like putting a fresh coat of paint over a cracked wall. People aren't angry about the lack of press releases. They're ticked because kids are dying. Aid transparency won't cut it when you've got reports of entire families wiped out in Gaza.
Certainly, Duke, emotions are running high. Yet the power of policy lies in incremental shifts, even if they appear superficial at first. For instance, creating pathways for peace negotiations, however flawed they may seem, could lay the groundwork for lasting solutions. Such diplomacy has worked historically, albeit in fits and starts.
Lasting solutions? Like what? The refugee resettlement ideas floating around? Hans, I've seen these peacekeeping plans fail on the ground. You're talking logistics nightmares, resistance from locals, hell, even soldier exhaustion. Imagine telling troops to enforce peace when both sides don't even agree what peace looks like.
The refugee resettlement proposals. They evoke both hope and skepticism. Some suggest a multinational initiative to provide shelter and opportunities for Gaza's displaced population. But you're right. Executing such strategies is fraught with operational and ethical dilemmas. Still, Duke, isn't the alternative even more daunting? A perpetuation of the status quo, with its unending cycles of violence?
Hans, the status quo doesn't have to be unending if we commit to solid plans. But commit, like wartime resolve. None of this half-hearted, could leverage diplomatic pressure crap. People need leadership that says, here's the solution, here's how we execute, and here's the cost. No vagueness, no fluff, just straight answers.
Spoken like a man of action indeed. And perhaps what you're calling for, this clarity and decisiveness, is exactly what protesters demand but rarely hear. Whether it's full transparency, robust humanitarian aid, or a genuine effort to bridge divides, one truth remains: leadership is key. History shows us that failing to inspire trust, particularly during moments of upheaval, can diminish even the most powerful nations.
You nailed it there. Trust is what's hanging by a thread. Protests, policy shifts, peacekeeping debates, they're all part of trying to patch it up. But until the folks in power start acting like the stakes actually matter to them, nothing changes. And Hans, the stakes couldn't be higher. Lives, stability, the damn future. We're all on the line here.
Indeed, Duke. And this is the enduring challenge of governance, navigating the balance of power and principle, strategy and morality. It's a precarious dance. Perhaps, as you said earlier, the growing volume of protests can eventually force the hand of those holding the reins, steering us, one hopes, toward real change.
Yeah, and let's hope it doesn't take another crisis to wake everyone up. You and I both know, Hans, this mess isn't new. It's just louder now. But hey, at least people are paying attention. That's something, right?
It is indeed, Duke. And on that note, we shall leave our listeners with these thoughts. In times of crisis, silence is complicity, and action, however small, is the first step to transformation. Until next time, stay informed and stay engaged.
Couldn't have said it better myself. Thanks for listening, folks. See you next time.